We're back here in with Robert Roohms. He's a custom applicator, a weed wiper that wipes all over Oklahoma and Kansas. And he has an 80-foot Walker 44 boom equipped with a sponge weed wiper on the front here.
We're here to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that we did last year. Last year we started out in Oklahoma wicking rye out of the wheat fields, and we were fortunate to join in with several family farms down there over the years. But we used the top crop wick system, which is a sponge bar system. Anyway, we use that system and it works very effectively.
We used a pipe system that was PVC with canvas wrapped, and I didn't like it because we couldn't supply enough chemical to heavy rye like this. It would either be dry in certain areas, or you were always having to, if you fill it up, you only used what was in the container itself. So
right.
You'd have to always, then you have to clean them every night to keep your holes clean, so that it works off a gravity driven system or gravity system. So it just wasn't working on a larger rig like this.
So Robert, did you, when you were using the canvas style, was that on a self-propelled, or was it kind of a pull type? So the very first wiper you tried was the canvas, and let's say if you had a canvas in this heavy of rye, what kind of results would you get?
20%.
Wow.
30% kill maybe.
Versus with the sponge, you're going to get...
Well, we'll get almost all of this.
Yeah.
We're doing here today. He won't have any dock on this field for rye, because we're going to take the rye off the top of this. Because we can supply the sponge system whenever we feel like we need to load up our sponges, so you can continuously stay running, keep it wet, keep it moving. You could never do that on a pipe system.
Right.
You never knew if it was dry or not. And especially wasn't any good on terrace ground, because you might be going across the field like this, and all your chemicals will be down here at the end of the pipe, because it doesn't have any containment. This contains chemical every 2.5 feet. And so when you go over a terrace, it's always uniformly wet.
Right.
Because it's a sponge, and the sponge won't be dry in one area and not in another.
What we try to do is set the bar just above the wheat, and try to catch the rye as it's coming through at the proper time when it's flowering, or just before the flowering time. And what it does is it eliminates the foreign material of rye coming through the combines and reseeding the ground, and later on in the year, and carries over from year to year. We're fortunate to meet some farmers in western Kansas that needed help with their edible soybeans, and we wicked some of that and took different kinds of weeds out of that was Roundup resistant and had been treated several times. So we used different chemicals on it, gramoxin, and it did a really good job. We did several acres of shatter cane, and it works very effectively on shatter cane. And we did soybeans, edible beans, alfalfa, potatoes, and milo, and some soybeans.
Go ahead and tell us what you're doing out here, Robert.
So we're going to wick this field of wheat and rye today, and we're going to take all this rye off the top, so we won't have any dock in our wheat. We'll cut down on the dock and eliminate the seeds, this rye going ahead and seeding. And we've already primed it up for sponges are completely wet, and then we're going to walk down through here and wipe all the excess Roundup chemical off these sponges. What's going to happen is that rye is going to hit right here, and it's going to bow and flip around this, and that's how come we're going to apply chemical, and probably about that much from the stem to the head. This rye is blooming right now, so it's perfect time to during the blooming time, it's trying to make seed, so it's a perfect time to kill the rye, because it's taking up the most moisture from the ground right now. Plus, it's going to save moisture that this wheat's going to need to go ahead and seed the wheat out.
Now we're in a part of the field right now where there's not a whole lot of rye. So Robert is able to turn on and off his boom to get less chemical flow, and it's an on-off method that we're using here. I know it totally depends on how much rye is in the field, but if you have a really heavy field, how many gallons to the acre do you typically figure you'd go through if it's like super heavy with rye on the extreme end?
Total product is from water and chemical, you'd be anywhere from a half gallon to a gallon an acre maybe.
Okay. And then obviously if there's less rye in the field, it's more patchy, it's probably a lot, even less than that.
Oh yeah, you'd be down to, small amount. As a matter of fact, right here where we're at, whatever's in those sponges will be plenty for the rye.
Mm-hmm.
Those sponges will last without any putting any charge to it at all. It'll probably last 15 minutes or so, 10-15 minutes, which would be probably 5-6 acres.
Right. And like right now, there's just a small patch right here.
Right.
You'll pick up that, kill that.
Yeah.
Yep. Robert, I know you do this every year. You start down in Oklahoma and work your way up north into Kansas. On a normal year, how many acres do you average weed wipe in a year?
We'll go from 12 to 20,000 acres.
Wow.
Depending on the year and where we're at.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is his biggest benefits of getting rid of this rye?
Well, first of all, you won't have your dock that you receive from your wheat when it goes to the elevator, and they'll dock you per truckload. And there's a lot of this rye over here would go in as when we cut this wheat. This quarter would go in as feed